Well, I think these festivals that celebrate parts of the world through literature, through art, are fascinating, and it's really great to be part of a festival that kind of looks at a part of the world and kind of celebrates all of the culture, the literature, the history. And so it's a real honour to be part of it. Also with the Bagri Foundation, I've got a long history with them, and the Bagri Foundation funded my exhibition on the Kumbh Mela, which is India's largest pilgrimage, in 2001. So back then I was a photojournalist, and they funded me for a big photo exhibition in the Brunei Gallery, and that really launched my career as a photographer. So it's a nice legacy to be working again with the Bagri Foundation. Positive Negatives is an organisation, it's a non-profit that, in a nutshell, turns complex testimonies into art. So we are storytellers, but they are not our stories. We go out into the world and interview people who have very difficult, often traumatic stories to tell, who don't have a voice in the world on the international stage. And we have long periods of primary research with them, where we interview people, and then it's very participatory methodology that we take their story, turn it into a script, take the script back to the respondent, allow them to edit and comment on it, and then do the same with the storyboards, and try and find artists who are the right gender, right ethnic background, to work on those projects, and then turn those out into the world in comics and animations. Favourite's a difficult one. I think the project that started it all is the project I'm presenting this evening, which is on Sri Lanka. So I had a long period working for the United Nations in Sri Lanka through the conflict after the tsunami, and I've turned that 4-year experience into a 250-page graphic novel with the artist Lindsay Pollock. And that has taken 6 years now to produce, and off the back of the production of that comic or that graphic novel, Positive Negatives was born. And so that project has a particular place in my heart, in the sense that it started all of this, and it's an incredibly personal journey of 15 years of mine, from 2004 until now, and I'm quite relieved it's finishing and being published next year. Yes, and I was very pleased to hear on the radio this morning that it's now getting more attention of mental health. I think it's an issue that affects all of us around the world. I think it's amazing that it still has the stigma that it has. I think the pressures on us in daily lives now are unprecedented, and it's something that I've certainly suffered from after the aftermath of Sri Lanka and the trauma and post-traumatic stress. I know how difficult it is to go through those very, very challenging moments of your life, and I'm really excited that Positive Negatives could start to work on projects about mental health. We're working on a number of large projects. My colleague and co-collaborator Asia will talk about her project, I'm sure, but our biggest project that I've got coming out is our Sri Lanka book, which we've still got to title. It's got a working title of The Vanni, but that's probably going to change because Vanni doesn't mean much to non-Sri Lankan audiences. But I'm really excited to get that out. It's going to be about 250 pages, published by The New Internationalist and Myriad Publishing, and will come out in multiple languages, and will really try and set the scene of what it's like for a fishing family of North Sri Lanka to go through a horrific conflict, being caught between a rebel group and a state government, and then becoming asylum seekers in the UK. And I think, although it's positioned as a Sri Lankan story, it's actually a very universal experience of conflict, migration and asylum seeking, which is a global issue.